Well guys, we are jumping right back on the new to me and new to the channel 1994 S500 W140, and we're going to focus on the exterior today, and there's a lot to do on this car. Now, we are nowhere near as done with the interior, but we're at a point where I feel comfortable going in and out of it, being able to drive the car right now, and then I can slowly show you guys videos on modifying some of those interior things and then fixing some of the other things that are still broken. With that said, I already went ahead and put one of the rims on. We've got the rest of them here. If you guys haven't seen that video, check it out where I restored. These are very rare BBS two-piece rims, and I decided to restore them instead of going out and purchasing new rims. They are 19-inch. And I think they're gonna look really good once we finish off this bottom panel with an idea I have and we slam the car. Also, we need to tint the windows. After all that, it's gonna look so good, but we need to start with restoring this paint, getting the car cleaned down. The car is just kind of a mess. Getting our mirrors put back on. And then on this side over here is really the only big dent in the car besides the little ones on the door over there, which I talked about. We're gonna basically swap out the parts car door, so that's going to be a challenge too. I've never done that before, but I'm kind of excited about diving into that. It's going to show you guys a lot of things, how to remove some of the parts inside the door and stuff like that. Still don't know exactly how I'm going to tackle that, but we'll get into that. It's going to be a different video. On this one, you can see this dent right here. No major crease. You guys know that I've tackled dents before. I'm going to see if I can pull that out, and if not, we've got a perfect fender on our parts car. So I'm going to give it little effort. Let's see if we can pop it out, make it look really nice, and if we can, I'm not gonna throw the other one on. I'm still gonna pull it off and hold on to it, but I'm gonna go ahead and just run with this one and polish it out. So let's go ahead and start with that, and then we'll start with cleaning the car. We'll get the rims put on, we'll put the mirrors on, see what we can get this car to look like by the end of the video. Well guys, I'm gonna go ahead and take this as some PDR practice and stop here. Probably could have gotten it to look pretty good, not perfect, but I'm gonna step away now because I went to the other side and realized the other fender has some damage on the wheel arc. So I went ahead and took off both fenders from the parts car that are in amazing shape and the bumper. We're gonna polish these up right now. We're gonna throw them on the car. I'm gonna show you guys how to take these fenders off, how to take this front bumper off. I've shown the front bumper in other videos, but a lot of times people take these fenders off wrong. They end up bending them because there's a lot of hidden bolts. I'm gonna show you guys exactly where all those hidden bolts are. I've now got it down to a science. I got these off the parts car in about 15 minutes or so, the whole thing. So I'm gonna kind of go through how to do that, and we're gonna zoom through it. But first we wanna go ahead and polish these up off the car so it'll be a little easier, and that'll make us halfway done with our polishing. So let's get set up and zoom through that. Well guys, I hope this looks as awesome on film as it does in person. And I say that because we have some heavy overcast right now and it's about to storm. But that is exactly why I was able to do this out in the open, because you never want to compound or polish out in the sun, specifically out here in Florida. But this just came out so good, and that is just a polish. So I'm so glad we decided to pull those fenders off of the parts car back there. And then here is that front bumper, which also came off the parts car. By no means is it perfect. It does have some scrapes, but this is more temporary. Now, the paint is a completely different type of paint on these front bumpers. It's a completely different type of material under here. And from what I know, it's a flexible paint. I don't think there's a clear coat on here. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I do know that they use a special flexible paint on the side panels and on the bumper, and that is why these faded a little different than the car would have faded. Now, we're gonna go ahead and throw these on our new car, the 94 S500 W140. Just came up with a name for it. It's gonna be Dr. Dre. So in the crew now, we have Dr. Dre and Vanilla Ice. So two 90s icons that I'll be driving around in. I hope to meet you guys at some of these car meets that we're planning on doing. But let's talk about getting these put on the car. Now, like I said, I was gonna tell you guys how you can take these fenders off because they can be quite confusing. Now, there's a lot of pieces that you have to pull off in order to get to all the bolts. So let me show you all the bolts. So you've got two that are gonna be hidden right here. These are going to be hidden underneath that panel, that lower panel, and that lower panel is also held in by two 8mm bolts. To access those, you do have to open up the door so you can see down the side to get this bottom panel off. So once you get that bottom panel off, you can get these two bolts. Now, while you have that door open, you're going to see there's 3 more 10mm bolts going down the side here. So that's a lot of times people miss those, or they end up breaking the ones here, or they bend their fender, unfortunately. Now, on the other side, you do have to take your bumper off in order to get this last bolt here. So there is a 10mm bolt here, and you're gonna have two 8mm bolts that go along here. There's also a Phillips screw that goes here that connects to the light that you will need to take off. Most people end up breaking that off from what I've seen. Now, once you open up your hood, that's gonna be the main bolts that most people see right away. So I think there's 5 or 6 of them that run down up underneath here. So you've got them 1, and then 2, 3, 4, I think possibly 5, but I'll show you guys that. And then once you get the bumper off, like I said, you'll be able to get that last bolt and pull the fender off. So I'm gonna kind of go through that quickly, but I wanted to show you guys where each one of those bolts were, and they're 8mm and 10mm that you will need to have readily available to take those off. So let's get on the car, let's get these put on. I'm excited to see how it's gonna look, and then we can polish out the rest of the car, minus that door, because we're probably gonna get to that door on a different episode. I can't wait to pull that other door off and just see how everything looks completed. Oh, and by the way, for now, what we're gonna do is run with the black lower panels. Unfortunately, we don't have a rear bumper because the parts car was damaged in the rear, but we're gonna look at trying to paint that or do something with that. Let's get started. Well guys, before continuing, I wanted to talk about a front bumper that sags, because a lot of you guys have reached out to me with the same issue and you wanted to know what caused it, how to fix it. Well, this is perfect opportunity to show you guys exactly what causes it and how you can fix it. So it's this piece right here on both sides that a lot of times breaks if somebody hits something in the front bumper. These can shatter, or exactly how I took this off the car. Now, what I should have done was jack the car up, took off the inner lining here, or just remove some of the bolts that are along here, and then you can pull this back and access this. Now, fortunately, I did the right procedure on our parts car, so that bumper is gonna go on perfectly. Now, I already knew that this piece was broken, but I did not know the other side was not broken, so I did break that piece, unfortunately, exactly how a lot of times this happens. Now, what that's gonna do is not allow the bumper to be mounted up right up against the fender. Now, there are ways to fix this without replacing that piece, because it could be hard to come by, and if you do find it new, it's gonna be very expensive. So a lot of times people will find used bumpers and pull the pieces out of there and get fortunate if they haven't been broken yet. But in the future, I may do a video on how to repair this without having to replace this piece. So that might be coming out, but for right now, let's move forward. I wanted to show you guys that because a lot of you guys have asked. Now, what ends up happening is a lot of you guys end up doing this, and it's exactly what I did, and it works as a temporary fix, but I would love to come up with a solution for you guys that's more of a permanent, easy way to fix this so you don't have this issue anymore. Let me know in the comments if you guys have repaired this and how you did it, because I would love to hear you guys' stories and how you came up with a solution for that. But let's move forward. Let's get these fenders off and get the new ones on. Well, guys, I always seem to forget something on these fenders because there's a lot to taking these off. And I forgot to mention earlier, there is a little support brace that's riveted in and then goes down and bolts into an 8mm bolt there. They always seem to break off, just like on the other two fenders, just like on this one. So not a big deal. I'm not even going to put it back on when I put the new fenders on. Also, if it doesn't come off easily, do not force it. You're probably missing a bolt. Go back and double check, because I forgot to take this one off, even though I had mentioned it earlier, and I went ahead and took that one off. Fender came right off, as you guys saw there. Moving on to this little side panel here. Now, this is the one off the parts car, because this one I took off completely properly and did not break these little tabs here. So you got to be very gentle. These things are old and brittle, like I said. You're probably going to break a lot of these tabs. There's these little nipple things that pop in behind your chrome piece, and that is what pops into these little ends here. Now, every time it seems to break this one, and I don't know why, but there is a little curled piece on this end. If you look there, another little tab, and those seem to always break because people try to pull them off, and that's exactly what I do when I try to take them off. You got to kind of wiggle them and maneuver them, so you almost have to slide them this way and then up and out, because you've got tabs on the bottom here that will also break. So just be careful when taking them off, kind of maneuver it, but you do have to get something down in here usually and pop these off first, then you can kind of slide it to get that off and then up. And that's kind of the proper way to do it. Just be careful, just move slow. You're probably gonna end up breaking one of these old brittle tabs. Not the end of the world. They usually go back on pretty fine because they are bolted in down here. With that said, let's move on. I'm gonna take off the other fender off camera and we'll start putting everything back on. Well, guys, I figured this is perfect timing to show you the difference between washing and clay barring, and then washing, clay barring, compound, and polish, which is this door here, and obviously that front fender that we did. Look at the reflection difference. Now, clay barring does make a huge difference, and I consider that a stage 1 part of paint correction. Then you would go on to compounding and polishing, which can take care of some of the light scratches. Then beyond that is going to be a little wet sanding, compound, polish. And then if you want to take it even further, you can fill some of the heavier scratches, wet sand, compound, and polish. Beyond that, you pretty much just want to paint it, but this kind of gives you an idea of how much you can get out of the car just with compound, polish, and clay barring. Huge difference. Can't wait to finish this off, so that's what I'm going to do, guys. We're going to get this whole car finished off. And if you look at these bottom panels, look at how these are coming out. Barely hit those with the compound and polish, and you can see those are already starting to shine up. But we're going to go ahead and put the black panels on here before the end of the video, and we're going to compound and polish those out. I'm going to finish the rest of this car off camera and then show you guys the final results. Well, guys, I went ahead and started compounding out the hood with the Meguiar's compound, and I just wasn't happy with the way it was cutting through some of these heavier scratches that you can see here. So I decided to go and try out a new product. I've never used this before, but it's chemical, guys, and it should be a little bit heavier duty on the cut through process of our compounding. Also picked up a new pad. I'm really hoping we can get some of these scratches out, because if you saw the trunk video that I was polishing, very, very similar situation. We got some of the scratches out, but you could still see them when you got close like this. So I'm hoping this will actually help reduce a lot of that, if not get rid of it altogether. I've decided, because we've had such amazing results on this video, I'm going to cut this into a couple different videos. We're going to go a lot deeper on the paint correction. So some of these scratches and nicks and stuff like that, we're going to attempt to fix those before we go ahead and use the Avalon King ceramic coating, which will be another video in its own. So I'm really excited about how this car is going to be completed at the end. And you guys will get to see a lot of it on this video, but we'll do a couple more processes after that. So stay tuned. Let's go ahead and see if we can compound out this hood using that new chemical, guys, stuff that we picked up, and see if it works. Guys, I decided to pull the car out, take a step back, and just look at the progress, and oh man, I am absolutely amazed. Now, it is nowhere near perfection, but that's not what we were striving for. We were just trying to make this car look a lot better than it did without an insane amount of effort. And look at this hood. My God. Now, there are definitely still some scratches you'll be able to see from certain angles, but we still haven't ceramic coated this. That is just a compound and polish, guys. And this hood is not perfect in any way. There is a couple of spots of clear coat that you can see peeling up, but nothing crazy. We do have a very small bubble right there that I want to try to fix on the next video. And with that said, there comes a point in every project where you just need to step away, take a break. And I've been going at it for probably 6 hours straight now. So it's time to take a break. I don't want to get frustrated and rush anything. I want to try to make this as perfect as I can and do it in sections. So you guys got to see a lot on this video, a lot of progress. I got the panels just thrown on there to kind of give you an idea. Now the downside is I do have these lower pieces here off of the parts car, but the other side, the driver's side, is broken. So I'm probably gonna end up wrapping those, so not the end of the world. And these bumpers obviously aren't as dark as the paint, especially now that we've polished everything out. But I think once we hit them with ceramic coating, they will come out a lot more. And we are going to wrap this back bumper. Okay, and I have not polished this area out here yet. just hit this door. Obviously you guys got to see the fenders being done, and I just kind of finished up the hood. Now there's a little bit of polish still on that hood, but I just wanted to pull it forward and take a look at the progress. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are learning something. I know a lot of you guys out there, you guys contact me all the time. You bought a car, doesn't have perfect paint, you don't have the money, or maybe you just don't want to spend it right now on putting it on paint, but you want it to look better while you're driving it around. And that is my case. I don't want to dump a ton of money into paint when I knew the paint on this car, and if we combine some of the stuff off of our parts car, will look absolutely phenomenal. I wanted to show you guys what you could do with just some elbow grease. Once again, guys, you have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.